started making that proposal and got a Nobel Prize for it, there might be different from the value. It is not. It's the same thing. I learned it in a quite a unique way. When I was young, about 8 years old, I tried cracking a nut with a hammer. Let me bring it home. I tried cracking a nut with a hammer. My mom was walking by. She said, "What are you going to do? You're going to get yourself so bad. Just stop." But I had done it before, and it was good. The outcome was good. I got my nuts, everything. So I continued till I knocked my nail out. I lost my nail. So poor circulation, trauma, you lose the nail, a new nail will grow. But for about 3 months, I had to walk around like this to protect this nail. I didn't go to accident and emergency. I saw my nail grow back. But I was miserable. I'm a very happy person. I was miserable for 3 months. That was, for me, the correlation, that thing, that your mental health, how you feel, your emotions are connected to your physical health. I won't be focusing on mental health still, but I wanted to lay that foundation. Fast forward, I have seen so many things that I want to share with you, my observations. This is what I know now, because the more I read, the more I know, the more I actually get a deeper understanding of even things that medicine do not clearly understand and explain. Let me start with some definitions of mental health. Let's start with some definitions of mental health. Is that okay? Let's go to the next slide, please. Let's start with some definitions of mental health. Because over the years, we realized that there is multiple definitions, just like any theory or any technology. But I like these two definitions of mental health. One from CDC and the other one from WHO. Thank you. And I have inserted two of my own words in green. The first definition, I said those are the words I inserted from the CDC. Mental health includes your emotional, your psychological, and social well-being. I inserted physical and cultural because there's a huge cultural component to your mental health. Over the diagnostic manual, if I talk about the diagnostic manual, these are there's a book written that's called it helps practitioners to classify or diagnose you of any mental disorder. Formerly, the previous books did not have the cultural component in it. And we all know, in our Ghanaian community, for instance, a typical example is, let me give you a typical. You can see two men holding hands in Ghana, putting their hands on each other's shoulder, walking down the street. It doesn't mean anything. When you come to this part of the world, and two men are holding hands with it means something different. Okay, so cultural component is very important when you capture. And I've seen people from our side actually admitted to hospital for something that people do not understand them. A case in point was a young gentleman from the West Indies. This was in Vancouver. And you saw two men holding hands or kissing on the street. And he was a Rastafarian. So he started shouting some Rastafarian lingo. He said, "Firebonde." And they interpreted it as him having homicidal ideation toward them. I'm not kidding, this guy was locked up in a psychiatric institution. I happened to be working and had a good interaction with him. My older brother, who is a pastor, spent about 5 years in Jamaica. So at some point in my life, I was very close to them, so I understood where he was coming from. Till they understood the cultural component of that, this guy would have been spent unnecessarily, because the more they spoke to him and tried to elicit homicidal ideation from him, he became more frustrated and angry. And the worst place to show your anger is in a kid's psychiatric hospital. You've been there for a long time. You don't challenge them. They have the power. Anyway, moving forward, I like this definition for mental health. Basically, what I'm trying to bring, because we have to, as before I move into talking about the causality or the theology of mental illness and talk about what are some of the common mental illness and talk about solutions for mental health, let's have a clear definition for what mental health is. Clear definition. I have enough time for us to talk about questions. Can I move on to the next slide? Yes, it's working. Now let's take a quick quiz. Usually after sitting down for a while, I know we have to juggle our memories to know whether everybody is present. Okay? So let's look at some few questions. Poor mental health increases the risk of long-lasting chronic physical conditions like heart disease, stroke, cancer, all the above. What do you think the answer is? All the above. If you have poor mental health, your lifespan decreases by about 10 to 20 years. Yes. Next question. Mental illness is very common, not very common, fairly common. What do you think the answer is? Very common. And what's the ratio in Canada? 1 to 5. And that statistic, I would challenge, I think is more of 1 to 4. 1 to 3. So just look at last year. And we come from families of minimum 4. Just look at last year. Among us gathered here, there is somebody going through something. Or somebody who has gone through something. Why don't we talk about this often? Because it even determines how present you are, even as I make this presentation. Let's look at the next question. Suicide is the leading cause of death among people 15 to 34 in the United States. That is the same statistics in Canada. You can delete United States and use Canada. What do you think the answer is? What do you think the answer is? 24, 10, 40 years, the second. The second. For young people, 15 to 34, suicide is the second leading cause of death. Yep. Not in the form of illness. And you know, this data was taken before pandemic. Post-pandemic, I will not be surprised if it is even more. If you know someone with poor mental health, what can you do to help? Reaching out and letting them know help is available, one option. Helping them to access mental health services, another option. Third option, learning and sharing the facts about mental health, especially if you hear something that isn't true. And the last option, all the above. What do you think the answer is?
All the above.
All the above. There's a lot of misinformation about mental health. That impacts our stigma and biases towards people with mental health. I know of people who are married people who have mental illness, and because they later realize that the person has mental illness, needs to seek divorce or they have divorce. I know families that have given birth to kids with mental health, and because they have kids with mental health, the family is no longer together. We come from a diverse church population. There are people in our church that cause commotion, that we disfellowship. And if you look at their commotion they cause in the church, it's because of an underlying mental health problem. I've been to a church when the pastor is talking, somebody will stand up and challenge the pastor. that the Bible says this, you could see that the person is struggling in other ways. And the church being a place of support is that this. There's so much about mental illness all around us. I give this example. Just a couple of years ago, you heard about a German pilot that crashed a plane who was depressed. How many people do you think it impacted? How many lives do you think it impacted? People on board, any other, their families. An actuarial scientist estimated over 400,000 lives were impacted by that. I will later on talk about trauma. But would you see just a single act impacting over 400,000 people? And I think it's an underestimation. People who are scared of flying were traumatized by it. They are now even more scared to fly. There were two schools of it. Every family member who had a kid on that plane, the communities they belong to, the social clubs they belong to, the sporting clubs these kids belong to and their families belong to, were all impacted by it. Mental health is all around us. How can we do not talk about it? We don't prioritize. How many times have you spoken about mental health at the dinner table with your kids? No, I'm just checking. If suicide is the second leading cause of death for people 15 to 34, can anybody here raise their hand? Talk about how many times you've had, talk about suicide, talk about mental health at the dinner table with your kids. How many times in our church will we spend time talking about sugar, cholesterol? We will talk about eating healthy, talk about all those things. How many times do we have a focus on mental health? I just didn't realize recently I was talking to some of my relatives, and I realized they do not even know what I do. It hits me so bad. I was talking about mental health, and I was talking about how they should do things differently at home. And it hits me that they don't have any idea what I'm talking about. And I'm not talking about uneducated family members. These are highly educated family members. Mental illness is caused by personal weakness, lack of power, a number of factors, including biological factors, stress, trauma, long-lasting health condition. What do you think the answer to this question is? Yes. This is really segue when I talk about biases, talk about stigma. We come from a place that people feel mental health can be personal weakness. If you pray hard enough, you can. I'm not saying you can pray your way to good health. Yes, you can pray the demons away. But mental health is a medical condition also. If your leg is broken, you don't just pray it to good leg. You seek help, don't you? If it's obviously broken, you seek help. Most of us, if we have a mental health breakdown, you cannot come to church. You don't feel like coming to church. It's very difficult for you to tell people you cannot come to church. You rather say you have flu or we not normalize mental health. I'm here to plead, to present a case for us to prioritize our mental health. We are dying prematurely. And it's not just giving us a lot to think about, but it's increasing our risk of autoimmune disorders, cancers, and many chronic conditions. How many people know there's a direct correlation between mental health and cancer? Yeah? Mental health increases your risk or exacerbates your symptoms for cancer and autoimmune disorder, which most of us are actually suffering with. I can talk about my autoimmune disorder, and I'll share it with you when I get there. Stress is real. Stress is real. Do not mess around with it. Okay, now let's talk about what causes mental health. I've given a definition of mental illness. I was talking about some of the stigma and the biases about mental health. I've touched on a lot of subjects. But let's talk about what causes mental disorder. I like an engaging audience. Okay, it is not just me presenting facts. I would like to engage you. What do you think causes mental disorder? Any ideas? What do you think? Any ideas? What causes mental disorders? Excessive stress. Yes. Thank you. It's good. Finance, money. Yes. What causes mental disorder? Trauma. Yes. Causes mental disorder. Yes. Chemical imbalance. There are biological factors that causes. So the old saying about nature versus nurture comes here. If I say nature, I'm referring to anything biological. You can inherit mental disorders by no cause of you not doing anything. You just inherited it in your genes. There are biological factors, imbalances in neurochemicals in your brain can cause you to have mental disorder. There's nothing you can do about it. You can have head trauma, which can cause mental health disorders. You can have other medical conditions that can cause you to have mental disorders. But I want to focus on only three. Only three. And I changed the fonts on these three things. You see under the genes. I will focus on social isolation and loneliness, stress, and trauma, being the three causes of mental disorders that mostly we do not talk about. I just want to focus on these three. And why am I focusing on these three? Because that is where our current evidence suggests is causing us so many problems. Okay? You may inherit the genes for mental illness, but we know nature, in the right environment, the genes will not be expressed. This is studies from the monozygote twins that they inherited. They inherited, let's say, the schizophrenic gene. To develop schizophrenia, I'll talk about schizophrenia. Usually, schizophrenia is marked by lack of reality. So, lack of reality comes with psychosis. If you ever heard of psychosis, they see things nobody's seen, they hear things nobody's hearing. Those are the common hallucinations. And there's also delusions. They believe they have a fixed false belief. Okay? Those are the classic schizophrenia. You have positive symptoms, negative symptoms. I'll not spend too much time there. Let's focus on the three things. Loneliness. You know, we live in a very lonely community now. Historically, I'll talk about loneliness. Historically, when we were, let me say, the whole world, I'll say 300, 400 years ago, we were not that lonely. Everybody had a community, 50, 150 people, closets. The hunger you feel, the biological need to satisfy, have food, that is the loneliness, is what causes the social need to have socialization. Lack of it causes loneliness. Being alone should not be confused with loneliness. Being alone. When I come to church, sometimes I want to sit at the back. That's what I want to be alone. That doesn't mean I want to be lonely. Loneliness should not be confused with loneliness and being alone. With this gadget, you can have 2,000 followers and still be very lonely. Talk about high suicide rates among, what do you call them, on YouTube and social media, influencers. Influencers have got very high suicide rates. They are loved by, they have 50,000, million thousand likes, but they feel very lonely. I'll spend some time talking about loneliness. But loneliness kills. It is currently estimated that in the United States of America, 46% of the whole population feels lonely. The Surgeon General for the United States of America, the Vector, has made it his top priority that he is going to do something about loneliness because it increases the rates of chronic conditions, all chronic conditions. Diabetes. People eat out of boredom. People enjoy sugary food because it gives them a little bit that angst, that loneliness have left. It is named as a current pandemic. Current epidemic in the United States. You know, in the United Kingdom, they've got a minister for loneliness. There is a minister for loneliness in the United Kingdom. Because loneliness is costing them trillions and billions of pounds. We are very lonely. Why are we lonely? Our lifestyle. Somebody said stress, money, our lifestyle. We work, building castles in the air. Build 2 houses in Ghana, 2 cars here. You want to drive the latest car, have the latest business. You die young or die sick for years. I have witnessed recently a lot of young people dying prematurely. You see, if you die quick, easy, that is one thing. But to be sick for years before you lose your life is pathetic. Because your sickness is also impacting the community, it's impacting your kids. Loneliness is deadly. The Surgeon General and most psychologists now compare loneliness to what? Having smoking, having sticks of cigarette a day, a box of cigarette a day. That's how deadly we see loneliness. Are we talking about loneliness? Are we doing something about loneliness? And it's a huge cause for mental illness. I can spend the whole day talking about loneliness. Research shows that people who are lonely or loneliness can make your chronic condition worse. So if you have what I can say some few. There are some few friends who have been put on terminal condition and they're giving 3 months to live. And all of a sudden, you realize family struggles around them. The church struggles around them. Now they live for how many months? 2 years. Most doctors. I had a family friend who was living, I think 6 months to live. So he decided, why not? I'm not going to die yet. I'm going back home to Ghana. Went back to Ghana and lived there for another 3 years before going. Why didn't you do this when he was alive? You know, when they give you the diagnosis, you find time to make time for yourself. I've been proximate to certain diagnoses, and I know you will find time. All the things that were your top priority, your priority will change from the doctor's office. As you walk to the car, your priorities will change. Thank you. I have somebody who is listening to me here. I will talk about stress, but to talk about stress, let me just move on to my slides on stress. Because I'm sure if you are wondering what loneliness is, this is loneliness, the definition for loneliness. Emotional states created when people have fewer social contacts and meaningful relationships that they will like. It is very subjective. Loneliness is subjective. That is why it's difficult to even measure. How do you measure how lonely you are? What the social circle that will make you not feel lonely today is not be the same social circle. It's very subjective. And you know, in our world now, in our metric-driven world, everybody wants to see outcome. Can you measure the outcome? If it's not measurable, then there's no point spending time on it. Not everything can be measured. How do you measure how much you love your kid? Have you put it on the scale? Have you ever tried putting your love for your kid or your spouse on the scale? Certain things cannot be measured. Now let's look at stress. I know there's a big emphasis on stress, and that is where I was spending most of my presentation. What is stress? What is stress? Because I was talking to a friend who's like, so what is stress? I've looked at a couple of definitions for stress, but I like this one. Is anything life brings our way that has the potential to upset our balance? It's different from trauma, but anything that upsets our balance. What balance do we have? So if I am living with my wife and my kids, everything is okay. And all of a sudden, my wife is not talking to me, or all of a sudden, I cannot pay my bills. It has upset my balance. So the things you think about it, the things that can offset your balance is so many. Everything can upset your balance. Stress is an adaptive. Stress is good though. If you didn't have stress, you wouldn't be here. You need a little of stress to your life. Like, can you imagine if you had no stress? People who do not have stress in their life, everything is okay, everything. They end up dying really young. If because of stress, I see a lion, I'll run away. It's an adaptive mechanism. You understand? Because of stress, if I see fire, it will cause me stress. It will upset my balance. I'll run away. It's a survival mechanism. But that which causes you, or that adaptive mechanism your body has to deal with the stress, can also be maladaptive if you keep turning that switch on and off, on and off, on and off. The Greek word for trauma, which is a form of stress, is wound. I'll say every trauma is stress, but not all stress is traumatic. Stress is at another level. Trauma is defined as a psychological, emotional response to an event or experience that is deeply distressing and disturbing. I would like to pivot here and talk about trauma a little bit because I like what Pastor Amor was preaching this morning. As I was listening to it, that which can be adaptive can also be maladaptive. I'm sure somebody is thinking here, what then is trauma? What causes wound? I'm focusing on psychological trauma, which is as deadly as physical trauma. Speak to anybody who has been psychologically been impacted, and they will tell you what he did was as if he stabbed me with a knife. When I heard the way he spoke to me, when I heard the way these elders were approaching me, I felt they were stabbing me or beating me. They would beat me. I think that would be much better than what you are currently doing. I'm not going to talk about trauma because there's current research to actually tell us that which we did not know before. I'm sure some of you have heard it before, but I'd like to spend some time here and spend a little bit of time on childhood trauma. How do I talk about trauma in a way for us to understand? I'll be focusing on 3 types of trauma.
So we are live on YouTube.
Trauma from abuse, trauma from neglect,
So I
and
just
family
trying
trauma,
to
or family dysfunctional trauma. There are types of trauma, vicarious trauma, and all sorts of trauma. We'll talk about it another time. Everybody is familiar with sexual abuse or sexual assault being traumatic. I'll not break into it. But there are types of trauma that even exist that we normalize it. You know, silence is a tool. Our brother asked, men like using silence. But with that silence as a tool can also be used in a very timing is everything. There are men at home who, because of what their wife has done, she overshot. She spent too much time. When we went for shopping, you come home and you don't talk. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. What did I do wrong? It's a form of traumatic. It's a form of abuse. Neglect is a form of abuse. This is what we call neglect. Women that, because of what their husband have done, for that, we no longer sleep. 6 weeks is a form of abuse. I have met kids whose dads have never hugged them. It's a form of abuse. I can list a whole, I have a tool here. The sad thing is, I see it all the time in our church. I see it all the time in my Ghanaian community. And you don't know the impact it's having on our health, on our children's health, our spouse's health, and the community's health. That is what is killing me. That's what is keeping me awake at night. If anybody has not heard of the ACEs, what I spoke about are all ACEs, adverse childhood events. For those who have not heard about it, let me explain what adverse childhood events and the issue of adverse childhood events.
What is this?
So according to the mid-90s, two physicians, Robert Ander and Vincent Pelletti, both in California, one working for CDC, the other working for Kaiser Permanente, decided to do a research. Actually, let me backtrack why they decided to do the research. One of them specialized in working with people who are obese and overweight. People who eat, they can't stop themselves eating. And he was working with this lady who did so well. I think the lady lost about 200 pounds. It's a long time I read this literature, so please bear with me. I may not be giving you the exact. The lady had lost about 200 pounds for over 2 years. All of a sudden, the lady started gaining all the pounds back. And he could not figure out what was it. The lady then opened up and shared with this physician that I was sexually abused at the age of 4 or so. And memories of that is flooding back due to certain circumstances I'm in now. So that triggered this tool to look at a population of I think 17,000. And this is a rich area, most of them college educated, to look at how many people have had an ACE, an adverse childhood event in their life before their 18th birthday. And the results was outstanding. It blew their mind away. That is the seminal work that actually taught us that if you have experienced certain forms of trauma in your life, your chances of you developing depression is higher. Chances of you getting asthma is higher. Chances of you even dying by suicide, chances of you using drugs is really high. What are some of this trauma? The trauma I'm talking about are the following: neglect, physical neglect, sexual neglect, psychological neglect. You know what neglect is, right? If you can live with somebody and not talk to the person, or not even hold his hand, this is a form of neglect. Abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse. This is all forms of trauma. Living in a home with somebody with mental disorder is traumatic. Living in a home where there's a single parent, or divorce, or your parents are constantly fighting, or you even observing and hearing one of your parents physically abusing, beating your mom is trauma. And I'm sure everybody here is thinking about it, but that is normal. Like everybody knows about this in our communities. And my wife will ask me, so every one of us we born traumatic, so what do we do? Are you all going to die? I'm like, it is not that, it's having the awareness. Because this trauma is intergenerational. What you are going through now, it goes through your genes to your children. That has some scientists have actually explained that even childhood cancers, I 4 years old, he's never experienced the world. He comes to this world with cancer, and you're wondering why. We see intergenerational trauma being going to the kids. I'll explain how the biology works. But we've seen so many of these that I want to pause and reflect on this. And I'm not saying that life is hopeless when you have all experienced trauma. Life is not hopeless. But once you know about it, we've got to do something about it. Yes. Break the chain of trauma. Let's break it out of our communities. Let's break it out of our homes. Let's break it out of our families. I want to be a better parent, knowing that my kids have inherited some trauma that I have nothing to do with it. My grandfather, everybody knows my dad here. I never met my grandfather. My grandfather died when my dad was 8 years. My dad doesn't talk about it. I've never heard him preach about it. He blocks it. But I now understand how my dad was so protective of us, that he scared him to death, that he has to travel and leave us. When I realized the correlation between stress and our health condition, I cried. I lost a friend, 22 years, Adventist, vegetarian, I think I'll say vegan. He runs every day. He did everything right. Got an aggressive posture. He's the loveliest person I could ever meet. When I went to move to DC, just two of us, I couldn't afford noodles. He spent the day with me moving. He was a pastor, very lovely man, powerful preacher. And I could not figure out on God's end, why would this guy be having cancer? Aggressive, prostate cancer is usually treatable. But his was so aggressive, he was given months to live. I know at that moment in time, I don't want to ask him questions. But I heard the announcement he's going to preach his last sermon. So I told my wife, I can't be there. We have to go for this. And I sat there in the pew, cried like a baby. When this guy disclosed for the first time publicly that he was abused as a kid at 8 and could not forgive his abuser and his mom because he loves his mom. Look at all the trauma here. Loves his mom. Told the mom. Mom says never say that about the man of God because it was the man of God that abused him. His dad wasn't home. All he has is his brother and his mom. He loves his mom to bits. So he also has to always push down that feeling. That which doesn't kill you, only limits you. It's just a matter of time. I can talk about my own stresses because at some point in time, I was living in the UK, living in a strange land, supporting my sibling, having a professor who doubted my ability to think and read. I developed a rash on my hand. That rash would not respond to any of the Ghanaian topical medications. I tried and basic cream, I tried everything, it didn't go. So I decided to go and see a GP. This old GP, God bless her. She just, because most people wouldn't be able to diagnose it. She just looked at it, she says lupus. And you know what lupus is? It's an autoimmune disorder. When I was growing, it was not one of the diseases that will cover it. Now in the Ghanaian community, a lot of people have lupus. And it's an autoimmune disorder. Let me teach you how it works. Anytime you see something that causes you stress and trauma, your body activates, right? There's an activation. They call it your stress response. It activates. Your heart beats faster. Blood is directed to the vital organs. You get into the flight, freeze response. It's an adaptive mechanism. By now it becomes maladaptive because you are always meeting that thing that scares you. I see the lecturer, I get scared. After a couple of times, and what does the body do when you are under stress? It produces cortisol, adrenaline. Where does the adrenaline and cortisol go afterwards? It causes increased the risk of inflammation. And what is inflammation? What is steroids? Steroids is what? An anti-inflammatory. Most of these conditions you take steroids. Asthma, you take steroids for it. It's inflammation everywhere. And we play around as if stress doesn't kill. Oh, it's just asthma. Oh, it's just diabetes. So I was giving prednisone. Sorry, steroid. But this woman told me something that I can't care for. She's like, whatever you're doing, you have to take stress out of your life, or I have to put you on oral or IV steroids. That's IV prednisone. I said when you hear the diagnosis, things will change, your priorities will change. My walk from the GP to my car, I started reprioritizing my life. So fast, I reprioritized my life. Seriously. I used not to exercise regularly. I started playing soccer every Sunday. Frank is here. I started playing soccer every Sunday. Rain or shine. I still play. Today, I still play soccer every Sunday. If you invite me for a wedding on Sunday or activity on Sunday, very likely I will not show up. I'll show up 30 minutes and go away. Because listen, at the end of the day, when I'm there, none of these things matter. I'm that serious. None of this matter. No, who's going to remember me that I came to your wedding or I came to the event? Who's going to suffer the most? My kids and my loved ones. I have to be serious. I have to reprioritize life. I'll talk about all the things that I have noticed from literature that help us to stay healthy. But stress kills, and we have to do something very different to help us be healthy, not just for our mental health, but also for our physical health. So going back to the study from Robert Ander and Vincent Bellet, they realized that cancers, the rates of cancers, increases with your ACE score, your adverse childhood event score. Everybody here, no, you just all the things I talked about. There are 10 things. I have the tool here. Look at it. It's too small. It's just 10 things. You, for a second, please focus here. I'm going to take you through the 10 things. Don't share with, don't even share with your spouse. Okay? If you have ever been in a form of neglect, I define what physical neglect is, right? Physical neglect. You've been through psychological neglect, some form of abuse, physical, emotional abuse. If you have been through any of those things, thank you so much. If you've been through any of this, if you have a family member that has been incarcerated, a family member that has mental illness, a family member who is chronically ill, you have had a case solved. And as I mentioned, if you are able to deal with it, it goes through your gene. It passes on from one generation to the other. You know that? And this is the studies that we got to know that it has passed through. Just look at those who experienced Holocaust. Studies have shown that their grandchildren have experienced symptoms like those who even went through the gas chambers, or those who survived the Holocaust. Anxiety attacks. If you follow the work of this social worker, Joy DeGraw, he called it post-slavery disorder. Joy DeGraw. He actually realized that most Black Americans, the way they act is as a result of years of slavery. Now, knowing all this, is there hope for us? I thought I just give you some few data about having more than 4 ACEs. What it does, it increases your risk of substance use. It increases your risk of cancer. It increases all the risks. Just enough of those. I'm sure somebody is here wondering, am I a bearer of bad news? I'm a bearer of good news too. God is so good. He's giving us some answers to help us thrive. And we can thrive and we can break the chain. How can we thrive and break the chain? I say this: prevention is better than cure. Has anybody been sick yet? Has anybody been sick? But let me ask the question right. Have you been sick of an illness that you could have prevented? Yes. Okay. Let me give you a simple. This is a simple one. Is you have to sleep in a mosquito net, and you don't sleep in a mosquito. The place is infested with mosquitoes. Just 2 weeks after you start developing malaria, and you are like, all I had to do was to put this in it down. Or you mean one night, you see that night, the mosquitoes totally overwhelmed you. And you wonder all I had to do was, or you were supposed to take your, is it weekly anti-malaria, and you forgot to take it for a month, and now you get malaria and you wish you had taken your tablets. Prevention is always better than cure. Most of the items here, this is one slide. I'll not move from here. But this is one slide that captures everything that you know now that can help you prevent you from passing on all the stress and help you if you have been through you are in a stressful situation. So I'm going to go through very quickly so that we can have a lot of time having questions and answers. Quickly. We now know that healthy relationships give good health. Healthy relationships give good. What am I referring to as healthy relationships? We being here, we love each other. We are here spending some time together. Healthy relationships give. The longest study done, longitudinal studies done on human beings. Harvard study, led by a team by Robert Waldinger, he has a TED talk on this, says that it is not what you eat that kills you. Amazing. For Adventists, we are like, hey, what am I saying? What you eat is important, but that which eats you is more important. Okay? Healthy relationships. We are social beings. We are social beings. Could you imagine not interacting with anybody? Have you realized people who are carefree or who were digital or what kind of person? If you provoke them, they tell you their peace of mind anymore. They live very long. They live very long. Okay? We are healthy livers. Our families, our friends, our work environments, our church environments, let me add, will make you get good health or not. Sometimes for our family, you cannot change your family. You have to learn to live with that family. That is the stressful thing. You have to learn to live with it. But let us be intentional to create an environment at the church, in our home, that will make us thrive so that our stresses do not overwhelm us. Because, as I said, we were born with stresses. We live in stress. So a way for us to be healthy is to create an environment around us that will help us promote health. That is why I changed jobs. I want to be the longest serving employee there. But if it is not working, you gotta move on. I've met some people with chronic headaches, really bad migraine, to the point that they went for scan. They thought they had brain cancer. And we were wondering, why are they so sick? I said, you love the people you work with. He says, I think that. I said, why are you still there? Family, you cannot change. I cannot change my parents, I cannot change my siblings, I can get family. But you have a choice to see how you interact with them. When I got to know about stress, I called my siblings down. I called my siblings and I thought, hey, let's talk about this. This thing of us fighting and arguing, it won't work. It won't work for anybody. If I have something that you don't like, listen, when we were young, I have 2 older brothers. We used to fight like crazy. They beat me. But I'll never stop fighting. When I realized that we don't stop. We don't stop. Listen, we have intense conversations. But if you are standing by, you tell me, it doesn't go to the phone day. No, it's not right. I know families that siblings don't talk. They're not speaking for years. I know parents who don't talk to their children. If you are the parent that you punish your kids by not talking to them, please stop. Relationships are very important. And if you are here, that you are influential in a community, whether it's your home, whether it's work, you have the power to make the place conducive for people to thrive, to love each other. Please do so. We cannot have the stress is all around us. The best we can do is manage stress. As I said, we were born with stress, we live in stress, you have to do something about stress. So what can we do about stress to make it work? Leisure. We don't like going for holidays. We don't know how to holiday. You know, people work 10 months, they say they are saving money to go to Ghana. You work for a week, they're saving money to go to Ghana for holidays. Let me tell you what is that. Mostly, usually when you go to Ghana, you are not holiday. You come back more tired than you went. Okay? That prolonged stretch of work is not healthy. Learn to take periodic breaks, short breaks. Every weekend you carve out time to be with yourself. Laughter is medicine. I highlight that there because sometimes in our community, these are the things that are keeping us together. I'm not saying everything in our community is bad. You know, in our community, we have a lot of laughter. Everything we do, we laugh. We create laughter around us. Laughter is medicine. And if you don't know what I'm saying, there's a book called An Anatomy of Illness by Norman Cousins. He was a journalist, and he had an accident which caused him to have spinal spondylitis. He was given 3 months to live, and he laughed his way out to good health. Bedridden. He was given 3 months to live. So as he was in hospital, one of his friends came, asked this, he started laughing, he started moving his fingers. So they decided to give him Charlie Chaplin movies, and he laughed his way out. He was given 10 months to live, he ended up giving 20 more years. Check it out, An Anatomy of Illness by Norman Cousins, CUSSONS. Gratitude. Having a spirit of gratitude. No, there are things in life that are free, but we sometimes want. I was sharing this with my colleague. One of the reasons why I stopped or I normally do not present to people who invite me because one, I cannot charge them, and two, because it's free, people tune out. Places that I present that they pay $1,000 or more. Now I'm not saying that's my places that I present that they pay more, I go every road. It's 45 days. Listen to my attention. Many people don't know value. We knew air was free till COVID. We knew air was free till COVID. And we saw what does the ventilator do? It just helps you to breathe. And how come ventilators are so expensive? And I said, now you know why every morning you wake up, you have to thank God for air. When you are upright, you are ventilating, you thank God. Because if you end up on a ventilator, you know somebody must monitor every second of your life. Let's talk about volunteering. These are all healthy things that you do to keep stress at bay. Sleep. I'll highlight sleep. North America, we don't sleep. Especially for our kids, kids don't sleep here. Our kids now have got cell phones. Please, parents, take the cell phones away. No kids will learn to do that. You die premature. Adults here sleep with their cell phone by their bedside. It's not a immediate away. You need, everybody needs different level of sleep, but you need a good night's sleep. I'll say 8 to 10 hours of sleep. Teens need even more sleep. We don't sleep. You will be sleeping, your phone is by, somebody calls you from Ghana, he wakes you up, you have a disturbed sleep. Or what are they talking about? Oh, somebody is there. So why are you waking me up? Who are to tell you somebody is there? You realize you are not killing me. Listen, sleep is medicine. Let me tell you what sleep does. You know your risk of dementia, which is now very common in our community. Your risk of dementia increases because you don't sleep. Yeah? Oh, yeah. I have to tell you, before you see somebody in our community develop dementia, they are way advanced in 80, 90 years. Now we are having 60, 50 developing dementia. Yes! A lot of stress. Because no sleep, the buildup of beta amyloid increases. For students here, if you want to distract, you sleep. One of those days that you talk, you cram, you stay up and do all night. I have tried from it, didn't work for me. And I realized that if you want to really be smart, you sleep more because the time that the brain processes information from short-term memory to long-term memory is when you are sleeping. There are so many advantages to sleeping that I do not have time to go through. Sleep is medicine. Sleep is medicine. If you have a kid on the autistic spectrum, on the developmental spectrum, every time the kid sleeps, the behavior is different. Talk about exercise. We don't like exercise, especially our women. I have to say it. I have my mom of blessed memory, and my two sisters. I tell them, I don't know about what about Ghanaian men. Very few Ghanaian women, they don't like exercise. Ghanaian men, they don't exercise, but at least they walk around. You can tell a Ghanaian men or how much they exercise by their anatomy. Is their anatomy around below their chest is bulging. If I say it's bulging, they know what I'm talking about. There's only two things. It's either you have 1 pack or 6 pack or 0 pack. Please, exercise is medicine. Our spirituality is very important. Prayer, meditation. Number one bastard of stress is forgiveness. Forgiveness. You don't know how to forgive. You don't know how to forgive. Forgive and forget. It's medicine. I don't talk about social media management and nutrition. You got it. You do not know about it. You know we eat healthy because I meant it to do well. We eat very well. We are healthy. We do all the good things. Everything is in moderation. I'm running through now. Everything in moderation. Water is good. If you drink too much, it can kill you. You know that. You know water can kill you. If you that's what I'm saying, Google water intoxication. Because your electrolytes, you have all your electrolytes. The excessive water. I've seen people die because of excessive water. They have heart attack from drinking excessive water. Everything in moderation. Exercise is good. If you go by exercise, it is not healthy. Forgiveness is good. Sunlight, all those things that entrance teaches us. I put in music here because music is a healer, and I love being projected out with music. Let me go on to the next one. This is more intervention for kids. Let's go straight into questions because I know with questions, all these things will come up again. Any questions for me? Any questions for me? Yes, the mic will pass around. Any questions for me? Yes, I have a question. Usually it's the first question, and I can tell you when it's time to close, that's when you will see everybody's hands up. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
That's a simple question. You did talk about policies and prevention. You talked about symptoms of stress. How can I know that
Okay, so symptoms of stress, yes. Okay, let me give you a list of symptoms of stress. Your body will, the body sees an account. Unexplained headaches is a symptom of stress. Tightness in muscle, usually around your neck and your back, is a symptom of stress. Okay, aches is a symptom of stress. Your mood, feeling anxious is a symptom of stress. Feeling insomnia is a big symptom of stress. If I say insomnia, the lack of sleep, oversleeping, sleeping is a symptom of stress. Your appetite, it affects your appetite. If you see foods that you enjoy, everybody has got food that enjoy. Everybody has got a food they enjoy. Once a while, try eating the same food. You see, it doesn't feel the same. You are under stress. And stress, the symptoms of stress is so many. That's why I don't really go there. But there are common ones. The common ones are the ones that I explained. Lack of concentration is a symptom of stress. Have you been driving? This is your route home. You always take exit 23. All of a sudden, you find yourself exit 18. You're already out of the highway. You're like, oh, I'm not even at time. a destination, you are thinking that you make your way back, and you are like, oh, today I think of this way, watch yourself. Listen, if you spend time reflecting, you will quickly know what you are going through. Usually we are so busy, you don't even get time. You don't even get time to sit down to reflect. At the end of the day, how many of you get time to sit down, not doing anything, and think about your day? What you could have done better, what you didn't do better, or what you have you spent time thinking about it? Yeah. Does that help? Does that capture it? Yes. But headaches, migraines are huge ones. Tightness of muscles, huge one. Some of them, you just the muscles here. That is why when people go for massage, they feel so good. Massage is good stress buster. But not all, you don't even have time to do them. If somebody give, I know people who've been giving massage coupon for years, it's still in their drawer. They don't have time to go for massage. How many times have you close somewhere, right? Sit down. Don't turn the TV on. TV does not help. Lots of people say you have them distressed, they watch useless movies, but it keeps your eye engaged, it keeps your head engaged. What I find really distressing is the desire. For me, I have before maybe I leave out play a song. I taught myself how to play in the last 3 years. I have been learning for 15 years. I do not play. Can't COVID. I was stuck in Idaho. I work in the States. Stuck in Idaho, looking at wall to wall. The stress was up the way. Picked up my guitar for the first time. I was able to put 3 chords together. And that's it. I'm the only guitarist that plays himself to sleep. I can take a guitar now, 30 minutes to come out here now. Listen, I talk about this differently. My kids will tell me, oh, but Dad, I'm not tired of that. I'm like, shut that thing down. You go to bed now. I have seen kids that they are going for all this therapy. Their parents are struggling, they don't understand. They just turn the TV down. Give yourself. So if I talk about sleep, if you want to have good sleep, most of us don't have. We want to have good sleep. Have a routine for sleep. Have a routine for sleep. Okay? Sleep in dark environment. Sleep if you want to sleep in a dark environment, then the TV should be out of it. I don't know why we have TVs in our bedroom. Unless maybe you are on call. They'll call you to come and report on something. You have TV in the bed. I seriously don't understand. There's reason to show that. What else? Cool environment. That cool environment, having a schedule to help you sleep. I know, very Adventist. Cell phone off if you can. Or if you not off, let it vibrate somewhere in the corner. You Bluetooth, so if you are sleeping, it is vibrating again between you hear it. Mine is always on vibrating, and it's on the carpet in the corner of the room. So if it vibrates, I don't even hear it unless I'm not asleep. Okay? So if I hear it and I want to turn it off, there are times I can still hear it, so I go and turn it off. But at times, most of the night, I don't hear it vibrate. Yes, please, the question here.
Sorry, it was Auntie. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your presentation, and we cannot talk now on that subject. But you made a point earlier, and you very briefly, but it was very important to me, because, I mean, some people aren't aware of that, how guilt could be a big cause of mental illness. And you also said that you had things that you had no control, you inherited. So when you put those two together, I thought those maybe you plan on elaborating on it later, but it's very important.
Thank you. And I can elaborate on it. Guilt. So there is this Indian philosopher, B.A. Buddhist, a cardiologist by background, but he talks about forgiveness, and he actually quotes Jesus Christ. He's not a Christian, but he quotes Jesus Christ. The guilt issue. I don't even know where to start. you carry a lot of guilt. What did you do? What didn't you do? And how you should have done it. Sometimes just let it go. So I'm sure the kids here, has anybody watched Frozen or the adults here Frozen? One of my favorite songs is Let It Go. I sing it. Let it go, let it go. Sometimes I'm from work, that's the song I was singing to remove my car because sometimes people do things to irritate you, to get you on the nerve. Just let it go. Let it go. There are things that you inherited, you cannot do anything about it. Are you going to beat yourself up here? You didn't choose. You didn't choose the type of dad you have. You didn't choose the type of mom. You didn't choose your siblings. They can get into your head. Are you going to find them all the time? No. Find a common ground. Find a common ground to make things better. There are certain things that you cannot do anything about it. I had mom share. Yeah, I had mom share. Actually, let's go for the last question before I wrap it up.
Means a couple of remember your workshops, right? One of the workshops is on stress. Now, workshops in the start here, you talk about the fact that your welcoming guests, whatever, they account housekeeping rules. One of them is that if any of the topics triggers you, either take care of yourself, because mental health, self-care is part of mental health.
Yes.
And he said, also upon that, now logging off right now, logging off. If it's in person, you can tell me, I'll take a break. But I kind of beginning, not even in the bed, they kind of for break beginning. But the American lessons always said, they kind of act. So there was one time that I was doing stress management. Because obviously, you can't put me in chaos stress management. In the beginning, I'm can say, if you trigger you now, take care of yourself. So during the course, we need to put the grammar participants know numbers, but I swatted that, which is about fees. So I went to check the fees. Now I contacted the career counselor and said, say this. So I'll check it out on this guy. Apparently, a word did I mention? One word, which to me, they look at a simple word, right? But in my other careers, in my other profession, as I said, they need control of the word that eventually help me.
Yes.
Maybe I can't see as you want a formal client, the word clown.
Yes.
Not the person, not the image.
Yeah.
The word clown. Or right triggered. So they can't catch them when they hear a joke. I want to make a mistake. I thought it was a joke. I said, no. Or now don't know it. Or take the word clown, a trigger. No, family history of childhood trauma. Affecting the senior adulthood. Well, this 60 plus. But what kind of word clown? Hey, it brings it back. Team myself they back up to the church. And remember why it needs to control. But said the young Kasa be over, the kind of just like that. And because of the Kasa, said in our workshop, you can't preempt it. You can't make sure say the words they calculated. Because why are you careful? If I come back to my said, in our workshop,
I was curious.
for example, can be I'm a woman with much. It's answer me and I said conditions. Remember condition. To make us be very careful to avoid that problem. Because of our bottom of the how do I do a sorry? The Cassandra didn't yeah, kind of. But say practical. I'm from Brown now. You can help us solve it.
Oh no.
But make up sensitive something, so that we can all think about it. Because affecting could be pretty so yeah. But you're gonna for the less sensitive about it. Their mental health. Worry. Finally, no worry. I want away. Now I want away. When Because who said, affecting, don't say yes. Affecting your main cancer. They can't be a swing. The area code was a couple, right? Say, your main being in 777 to fraction. If young at the bear and came your Marlboro needs to be in work, train line. There was one day I was going to work. No, I'm not paying one police hours you work. And made the resume, the call in person, distribute to power. But the other home was so traumatic that we just said we were a yellow line, so do not cross a yellow line. And the first thing that came to my mind is that child training. The first thing that came to my mind, the first thing. Timikoya could do some line. Now I said, "This is a 2 minute number." When I said, "We become a call." I know my suicide intervention assist. It's meaning somebody because doctor. Until the first thing was, why is suicide intervention training? So why are you on this line? The next thing is that you're a child of God. And the voice was so clear. And I went back. Right? Later I'm catching it. Yeah, that call miscarriages, not miscarriage, with S, capital S. Yeah. Now, I didn't see, I think it was a Thursday. When we went to church on the Saturday, we went to church on the next Saturday. And the first question is, why are you here? You don't deserve to be here. Also, it's I beg your problem. No, this is my catching wife. I'm not too skinny. Go and check your thyroid. Hey, you really got to me. What are you doing? Is there anything wrong? And as I'm saying, miscarriages. It's called the nature for a reason. Your hospital, blood up, back, you clouds like and one mechanism. And obviously, we've lost the child. We went to the hospital. I'm in tears. At that time, you didn't get I'm boiling. The woman was like, by the way, I see a heartbeat. I'm like, what are you talking about? I didn't doctor no brother said they had go and so we can cleanse the rest. The end they are cleansing the rest. We didn't go to the scan and look just to say it's a heartbeat. Timothy trust that we go back we soon or say by the way you see a heart. And I'm pregnant. You find I'm saying around your back. There's a good news that you want to feel. But the Kasawa, the Kasawa, it's a cover free trader. Even though I'm shy on me and saying, if you mention to Obisa will become one, make personal, it triggers me. It triggers me because meaning the Mako, meaning the big echo, meaning the big Nyan, it's for me a blessing. The way we should talk. May not make us I'm shaking. I'm shaking because it takes me back. We see the kind of whole book of Job. Yes. When I got to the part where God said, when I was creating the world, where were you? When I was forming the foundation of the world, where were you? Then I stopped. And I was saying, can you for now? Now, me answer the question. Now, me, twin pregnancy, second one, third one. And you are here telling me, say, and no for become, I didn't know about, sorry. This answer will do. Until it can testify. Why my wife have to push the baby 5 months old, already dead, pushed out. I'm putting the baby like this until you feel it. Then you are going to tell me this same person now, only 5 months. Your mommy ashes, the whole card, we really believe you know where to dump it. Because the image was hunting us. Then I'm card be a driver, my heart. Later, I no, let's dump it. Because the more we keep the ashes, the more the money. I'm going on and on. It's because it's something that is very, very important to me.
My brother, let me tell you this. Everywhere I have presented is the Spirit of the Lord that causes people to share their problems. That is going to make somebody's life better from here. Amen. So it is not, what you're saying is not just for yourself. Yeah. It's for somebody here listening online. It's for somebody here who's been through a lot. And I can tell you, I maybe because of my job, I've met so many people. I'm dealing with my own siblings. And in your mind, you have to go through. You listen, you've heard it. I wish that you finish. I'll talk about it. And it's like you need control. Because from the beginning, you are what you say, anything now will trigger you.
any control. But in this particular instance here, technically, we're a bit of control.
Yes.
You can't be out. For me, I make grammar can be, make grammar one of my home, no, make it's a normalized, like you were saying in the presentation. I'm normalizing on my meeting. Even though I program a common, I tend to forget myself.
Yes.
I'm so much on the bandwagon. I'm assuming can be wrong. And how do we conscientize ourselves? Say, hey, and no matter what is in life, I am sensitive.
Yes.
But we catch a while said, wow, now give me a social media. I'm like, so when they are coming before, and you will never say the words that you are found to social media. So you understand? But saying means I know money now. Every I am very conscious. No, you are men because at times say go fear. When I'm a bro, and then you know, you should have gone and say you can't tell me better. For most of them, if you vent, you're okay. I'm like that. If I give it to you, I go my sleep. Someone asleep. Or no one tessa. And a funny enough, they will tell her. Yes. And she will bear the brand and say, go do fear. I have to do 2 works. Console her, console myself. The moment man I double because of said will be lame, useless remark. Moment man I double. And the moment consoling you, then I will go and hide somewhere. See, Berman soon. I'm a man who swore upon her. So that many emotions will be. Now, on my bread, remember your double work. But see, then in a cost. For the come, and on one. I don't know what we can do. It's a master is because of question.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing. Mama, tell me I just say that one.
Now say I'm not sick, so I'm not taking medication.
Yes. So let me start with the first one. That is why we must be intentional about it. You cannot do it every time. I, for one, I like teasing. I used to like teasing. Let me put it this way, I like teasing. I'm very grateful. Okay? But I realized that some of my utterances causes harm and hurt. Actually, before I started this talk, I should have given people the heads up. That if you get uncomfortable, so thanks for reminding me. And what I'm saying, and it's so close to you, please take a walk, come back. But there's no resource out there. There's no resource out there. So it's good to stay here. But listen, we have to be conscious. It is not just what we say, it is what we do not say. I was speaking with a friend who was telling me who has got kids in the church. And her kid has got mental disorders. Because of the kid's situation, the church, when parents who have younger kids about the age of the kids have parties, they don't invite the kids. This is in God's house. Please let us be conscious. That is why I highlighted relationships. It's important. It's key. Look at the blue zones we have in the world. Nova Linda is one of the blue zones. So is Sicily or somewhere in Italy. They drink wine. They eat cheese. It is not what we eat that kills us. So. It's not only what we eat that kills us. It is what eats us. So if it was just vegetarianism that kills, and we follow the shape program, why do Adventists die young? Why do Adventists get cancer? It is more than what we eat. Let us season let every word that comes out of your mouth be a word that edifies. Think about it though. If I'm not listening, 70 I say 80% of what we actually say is not the words that come out of our mouth. It's what we do not say and how we say it and how to say it are non-verbal cues. I can sit here and see those who are here tuned out, those who are here waiting to take the fight, those who are here who are people would please are non-verbals. Now let's talk about what Auntie was asking. What about people here who are not interested? You come back. Okay, so let me come back. What about people who do not believe they have mental illness and do not seek help? One of the most difficult things about mental health is those who have mental health, you don't believe there's something wrong with them. Yeah, that is the nature of the mental illness. So I will have a family member, he is drunk, I don't even see the stairs, he says I'm not drunk, I'm stable. We'll talk about it later. But that is why you have to approach them differently. If you have understanding, there are two things, empathy and sympathy. Empathy and sympathy. There is a research done in Thailand by WHO to look at 5 modalities of healthcare: Western medicine, traditional medicine, all these things, quackery. No medicine, no medication, just quackery. There was no difference in Thailand. There was no difference in the outcomes. You know what is the final thing? If you practice empathy and sympathy, you always get the results. Empathy and sympathy. You can come here and fool one student can come and do this presentation, no fuss, nothing. You have empathy, you care about people, you heal. Why do people drink much? My wife was sharing with me last month. My wife was sharing with me, linked to this grandma or so when she was growing up. She used to give people possibly the saline injection for their pain, and they will come sick, vomiting. Give them saline injections, they will be okay. Until she gives them injection, they will never be okay. Empathy and sympathy will make somebody want to talk to you about their mental. But listen, your testimony of sharing with us, I'm sure we'll speak to somebody now. Let's say a quick prayer before we go. Heavenly Father, I want to thank you this moment for the period of fellowship. Lord, I'm sure there's somebody here who's going through, or somebody here who knows somebody who's going through a lot. May you, Lord, grant us the words to use. May you grant us the sympathy and empathy to help somebody. May you, Lord, enlighten us to take care of our mental health. In Jesus' name, I pray with thanksgiving. Amen.
Amen.